So we'll start by introducing meditation because there's always a lot of new people. And we'll do a quick breathing meditation, get a little bit of, get your feet wet with meditation in general. And then we're going to talk about a specific topic. We do a different topic each week. And today's topic is about pacing yourself. All right? We good at that? I'm not. So we're going to look at how to pace ourselves pretty much in anything, right? And we're going to look at, well, are we good at doing this right now? Spoilers, not really. And then what are the advantages of pacing ourselves, right? And how can meditation help us find the right balance? Because that's really where we struggle. We're just not sure what our pace is. We're not sure what our pace is, right? So that's what we're going to look at today. Sound good? And if you are new, welcome, and please ask questions whenever you have one. You can type it right into the chat. I will stop whatever I'm doing and answer it. And then I'll also put my email in the chat later. And if you would rather just email me personally, that's totally fine. If or if a question pops up after the meditation class, feel free to email me at any time. I try to be responsive, unless I'm skiing. Hey Tashia, hey Julie, hey. I love all the return meditators. It's really important for building a routine. Okay, so for those who are maybe new here and checking out meditation for the first time, hey Rob, meditation is all about familiarity. It's actually a tool or like a kind of a technique to familiarize yourself with something. All right. Well, why would you want to familiarize yourself with something? Well, if we look at the example of like driving a car, right? When we first started driving, it's very difficult, right? But over time, the more familiar we got with driving, well, now we can, drive while doing pretty much anything. Probably things we shouldn't be doing. But it's through familiarity that something that was once very difficult is now quite easy to us, comes very naturally to us. And the same is true about training our mind. So as I said before, most of us are here to try to relax, to de-stress. It's like really the key entry point of meditation. So when we're using meditation to relax, what we're doing is we're actually familiarizing our mind with being relaxed. And we're training in that so much so that it becomes easier for us to relax, easier for us to de-stress, right? We all have the ability to do this. We're just not very familiar, proficient at doing it. And this comes through practice and familiarity through meditation, right? Like I said early on, meditation isn't just about relaxing. We can relax our mind and then use our relaxed mind very productively to look at something. Today we'll look at how to pace ourselves, but we can look at anything, how to be less anxious, how to be more kind, how to be more grateful, how to be patient with ourselves, with others. There's a lot of things that we can do, but the first step is learning how to relax. It's very important because you don't need me telling you that when your mind is very busy or you're very distracted or you're very anxious, right? A bunch of thoughts bouncing around there. It's very hard for you to think clearly, right? To think objectively, reasonably. Things just don't come very easy when we're stressed out, right? And the analogy I love using is if we imagine a very still lake, right? This is how our mind is normally. Very still, very clear, very calm, peaceful. Amazing, right? And if I asked you to look in this lake and describe to me the reflection, you could definitely do it because it's very still, right? Things are very clear, right? If it starts to rain a little bit, it's no longer easy to see the reflection. Right? And the more raindrops, the less we can look at the reflection in the lake. So the more raindrops on our mind, the more distractions, anxiety, stress, whatever, these are all raindrops on our kind of still mind, and they're making it very hard for you to think objectively, think clearly and reasonably. That's why we like panic, right? So our first goal with meditation is to learn how to clear away some of these raindrops, how to relax, how to become familiar with relaxing, right? And the methodology that we use to do this is something called single-pointed concentration, which you probably haven't heard of before, but you probably have heard of breathing meditation. It's kind of the same thing. So single-pointed concentration, all that means is focusing exclusively on one thing. So much so that other things seem to kind of fade away, right? So if you've ever felt in the zone at work or exercising, this is a very similar feeling, right? We're so focused on the project we're working on at work that we don't hear any of the noises that are going around in the office, or we lose track of time, things like that, right? We're so focused that other things that are normally quite distracting to us are not as distracting. And it's the same concept with meditation, right? We're going to focus on our breath so much so that all of the anxieties and worries and thoughts bouncing around in our head are going to start to fade away, almost as if they're not there. Right? That's the concept of meditation. It's a very, when we think about meditation, it seems like kind of like mysterious, but we actually have experienced this many times in our life already. We're just going to do it intentionally, right? We're going to start to train at doing this intentionally. And the reason that we use our breath, and I always like to mention this, is because our breath is always with us. So if we get good at using our breath, well, we have that tool with us all the time, right? And it starts to show us something very important, that we don't need perfect conditions to meditate or to calm ourselves. We can calm ourselves very well just by focusing on our breath and having a little patience and effort and effort into practicing this. Does that make sense so far? Very brief overview, but hopefully clear nonetheless. So we're going to do a breathing meditation now. Yay. So this is, probably, every week seems really stressful these days, but this week, at least for those in the States, might be extra stressful, right? Thinking about the election and whatnot. So we're going to take some time to kind of clear away some of the things that have been bouncing around in our head, to just relax a little bit. And then we're going to use that relaxed mind to investigate our topic for today. Okay? Good. Any questions on that before we get started? Don't worry, you can always ask me at any time. I'll regret saying that. You get an email at like 3 a.m. Okay, so just sit comfortably. This is really the most important starting point. You got to be comfortable, right? Because we're trying to relax. So sit comfortably. If you're laying down, that is totally fine. If you're sitting in a chair or a cushion, it really doesn't matter. All that matters is that you are feeling comfortable physically, right? And then we're going to hopefully translate that into feeling comfortable mentally too. So just sit comfortably and close your eyes, which you can do right now. And you're going to follow along with what I'm saying. I'm going to guide us through this breathing meditation. Be quick, about 5 minutes. Okay? All right. So whenever we start a meditation, the first thing we always do is check in with ourselves. How are you feeling right now? Nervous? Worried? Calm? Happy? Sad? Neutral? Whatever it is, it does not matter. All that matters is you notice. Notice what your mind is doing in this moment. This is called mindfulness. So just notice how you're feeling. And having checked in with ourselves, we can turn our attention, our full attention, to our breathing in and out of our nose. very gently, very naturally. We do not need to take big, deep breaths or forcefully exhale. We're just breathing normally in and out. See if you can follow your entire in-breath and your entire out-breath. In and out, very gently, very naturally. And at some point, you will definitely notice that your attention has drifted and it's no longer focused exclusively on your breathing. This might happen very quickly. It's totally fine when you notice your attention has drifted onto thinking about something that happened earlier, something that is coming up later. Just gently guide it back. Gently guide your attention back to following your full breath in and your full breath out. In and out, very gently, very naturally. Allow yourself to relax. You deserve it. Allow yourself to enjoy breathing. In and out. Keep bringing your attention back to your breath whenever it drifts. This is meditation. You are meditating. You are training your mind to relax, to be calm, to be peaceful, to be happy. And you're doing it all on your own with nothing other than your breath. How wonderful. So just continue to enjoy breathing in and out, bringing your attention back to your breath for a little while longer. Okay, when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Return to me. Return to me. How'd that go? It's a very common breathing meditation. There are a couple different types. We try to go through a bunch here. Some more visual than others. Some more like counting breaths is another big one. This is kind of like a basic baseline breathing meditation. So if Samantha, so good, great. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So if that was difficult for you, which I'll be honest with you, I've been doing this a very long time, and it's still difficult at times. If that you found that to be difficult, that's good. It's good that you're noticing that this is difficult, right? Because our natural inclination is like, well, when I meditate, my mind's even busier. I can't, blah, 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 blah. Well, you're actually just noticing what your mind is doing all day long. Your mind is that busy all day long, that distracted, that easily distracted all day long, which is quite exhausting to think about. This is why you're mentally exhausted at the end of the day. Your mind's going boop, 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 like all over the place, like casino noises, like all day long. But over time, just like learning how to drive, this will become easier, right? And we'll become more familiar with focusing on our breathing, and we'll become more okay with it. Like right now we feel like, oh, I should be doing something, right? Oh, well, I'm just sitting here, right? But that feeling will dissipate, right, after a while, and we'll start to be like, this is a very beneficial thing for me to do, right? So takeaway here is good job. No matter how it went, good job. Because however long you're able to stay focused on your breath is probably longer, if this is your first time, than you ever had consciously tried to do before. Okay? All right. So we have cleared away some of the raindrops, right? To go back to that analogy, right? And a full meditation is like doing a breathing meditation like that, and then kind of using our clearer mind to investigate, right? To look at the reflection in the lake. So today we're going to talk a little bit about pacing ourselves, right? And why we might want to do that. And then we're going to do a meditation on pacing ourselves, right? But first we'll talk a little bit about it, right? So when we're thinking about pacing, right? Well, first of all, we're all here for different reasons, right? Like, whether you're here to just de-stress or to work on anxiety or to help with depression, I'm naming all the things I'm here for, or to be kinder, more patient, whatever it is, right? Pacing is crucial to developing, right, in these avenues, right? Is daily practice helpful in calming us? Yes. In fact, it's critical. And we're going to get to that today. That's kind of what today is all about. Looking at the amount of energy we should be putting into something like this, right? And how do we balance like massive energy versus consistent energy? So we're going to talk a lot about that. But yes. So pacing is really important. And we kind of I think we all know what I mean by pacing, but if you don't, it's sort of like how quickly we do or think, right, about things in general, right? Our cadence. And so when I'm thinking about pacing, the thing that always pops up in my mind is running a race, right? And it's kind of interesting that this is always popping on my mind because I'm not a runner, nor do I do this, but I was in high school track. I wasn't good, but I was in high school track, and I remember the coaches would always say, "Don't go out too fast," right? Basically, don't start too fast, right? And what they were kind of implying is like, hey, if you put all of your energy into the beginning of the race, you might not be able to finish. You might get burnt out. You might get tired, right? Essentially, what they're telling us is to pace ourselves in the race, right? And I'd be like, yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, got it. And then the race would start, and what would I do? I'd run as fast as possible every time. So like, why? Right? I know it made sense to kind of pace myself, but it was very difficult to do it, right? There's this inclination to just go as fast as possible, right? Go, go, go. You probably feel that throughout the day. We're very go, go, go. So one of the reasons that it seems kind of natural for us to try to have a very fast pace, right, is like we look around and it seems like everyone else is doing that. It seems like everyone else is faster, right? So, we're going back to the race analogy. There's kind of this like internal expectation that I need to run fast or I got to keep up with the people in front of me, right? But, they have a very different pace than mine, and me trying to keep up with their pace might be too fast for me, and then I don't finish, right? And that's the goal. We want to complete the objective, right? In this case, finish the race, right? So same with like schoolwork, you're back in school, taking a test or something, and somebody finishes before you. What do we start to think? Why am I not finished? I must be doing something wrong, or like, I'm not smart. We go through all these we jump to all these conclusions in our head, merely because we're observing somebody who is working at a different pace than us. And then we like feel inclined to upset our own pace to try to keep up, right? Or work, same, working on a project, the person next to us is finished with their project way before us, and we feel like we're not good or whatever, and then we try to go really fast, and then we make mistakes. Pacing is something that we really struggle with in a lot of avenues in our life, right? So part of that is because of this internal expectation that we should be doing more faster all the time. It's like ingrained in us. It's very strange. I think about it a lot. But another reason is sometimes we're just really excited, right? When the race gun goes off, it's like adrenaline, and we just go. Same if we're starting something new. We have whether it's meditation or whatever. Sometimes we're really excited about the prospect of learning this new thing, and so what happens is we go out really fast, right? But sometimes that can lead to us getting burnt out, just like the race, right? And so we can kind of ask ourselves the question, is a fast pace always the best method, right? And the answer is really only if you can do it consistently. And that's what today is all about, learning about the importance of consistency, right? Or, like Joseph was saying with meditation, daily practice, that's consistency, right? So far, so good. So, if we think about boiling a pot of water. I love this analogy. A meditation teacher I had used this, and I was like, yeah, that's good. If we think about boiling a pot of water, right? Like if we want to boil water, our first inclination is, okay, we're going to put the stove burner on high, right? And there, put the pot on there, and that's all well and good if we leave it on there. But sometimes, what if we put it on a high and then we like put it on there for a little while and then we take it off, right? Put it on there and then we take it off. It's never going to boil, right? So sometimes committing all of this high energy to something, if we can't do it consistently, is not going to lead us to accomplishing our goals, right? It'd be far better to have the stove on low, but leave the pot of water there. It will eventually boil. It might be slower than if it was on high, but it will eventually boil, right? And that's kind of the key. We want to accomplish our goals. We got to figure out the best way for us to do that, right? To do that. So when we're trying to accomplish something new, consistency is really, honestly, the most important factor, because consistent effort produces familiarity, right? When we go back to talking about familiarity, which is very important in meditation, driving the car, right? If we drove a car once a year, we would not learn how to drive very quickly or at all. We would forget what we learned. So consistent effort produces familiarity, right? And it's the same with meditation, right? So you're all here. A lot of you are new or fairly new, been doing this, for a couple months maybe. So we're trying to train our mind. We're essentially trying to learn how to, drive our mind. And so, kind of our initial inclination is like, okay, I'm going to do maybe we're like, I'm going to do a really long meditation once a month, and that's well and good for that day that you do the meditation. But, what about the other 29 days? It's very hard to learn something new if we're not doing it regularly, right? That's Joseph's point, right? We'll lack familiarity, right? So then we're like, okay, fine, I'll do a really long meditation every day, right? And, maybe that's good, but in general, we run a very great risk of burnout, right? Just like the race analogy, right? If we start doing this at like maximum effort, it's all we're like doing, we might get burnt out and it might become unfun to us. And joy is really important in anything that we do because joy produces natural effort. If you like doing something, you'll naturally find time to do it. So doing a really long meditation every day might not be the best pace for you. Really, the way to start developing a proficiency at meditation, at calming yourself, at reducing your anxiety, at riding a bike, at learning a new language, is to start at a very consistent and manageable pace for you and try to do that regularly. It doesn't have to be every day, but regularly, right? Does that make sense so far? This is a very common question that we get with meditation is how long should I meditate? It's like one of the most common questions. And the answer, which most people don't like, is whatever you think's best. It's whatever you can commit to consistently. Meditating for 1 minute every morning is way, 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 way better than doing 2 hours once a week. Totally. Because consistency is what builds familiarity, not time, like session time, but like doing it consistently so we don't forget, right? And I'm not saying anything like, you probably are like, yeah, I already know this is a complete waste of my time, which is, interesting. We all kind of know this, like deep down, we know we should do things consistently to get better at them, to learn them, to like accomplish our goals. But we struggle with doing that. And the reason is that we have not really fully explored or kind of come to terms with what is our proper pace, right? It's very hard. We know that we should have a proper pace, but we don't know what our proper pace is, right? And a lot of the time we're comparing our pace to others, right? We're always trying to keep up. So we have to do a little investigation to find out what is our proper pace, right? How am I going to figure out what the proper pace is, right? So that's what our meditation today is going to be about. Any questions so far on pacing with meditation or becoming less anxious or anything like that? Really, pacing is a very good method for becoming familiar with something. That's really the importance of pacing, finding a good pace for you. Because familiarity is what we're after, right? Even if you're just here to like chill out, well, you have to become more familiar with doing that, right? So it's all about familiarity. Are meditation apps helpful in getting started on a regular practice? Yeah. So we live in an era where a lot of this stuff is very accessible, to many of us, fortunately. And meditation apps are very helpful. If you find that to be a good way to build a regular practice. The only thing I will say about meditation apps is sometimes we can start to think we need the app to meditate. Does that make sense? We're like, I gotta have the app. I gotta have the person talking or whatever it is, right? And really meditation is, we have to recognize that we don't need I said this earlier, we don't need special circumstances, special conditions. We don't need an app to meditate. So if you find the app helpful, amazing. But also like try to mix in some non-app and see how it goes, right? Is it tough? If it is, well, maybe you have to dedicate a little more time to trying to recreate what they're doing in the app on your own, right? So hopefully that was helpful. Okay. Any other questions on any of this? If not, we'll do what is kind of considered a full meditation, right? So a full meditation involves breathing meditation to relax, and then what's called a contemplation. essentially an investigation, looking at the reflection in the lake once we've cleared away the raindrops. So we'll do that now. It won't be that long. Hopefully. I always try to keep it short, but I don't know. Sometimes we go over. Okay. If you have any more questions or anything pops up, you know what to do. Just ask. All right. And Joseph, thanks for all the great questions today. Appreciate it. All right. So once again, sit comfortably. And for laying down, totally fine. And go ahead and close your eyes. And we're going to start with another breathing meditation. And then you'll just follow along with what I'm saying for the kind of contemplation part. Very easy. Just listen and pay attention if anything's like interesting to you. That's your job. Okay? All right. So once again, we can check in with ourselves. How are you feeling now? Different than before? The same? Whatever it is, it does not matter. All that matters is you notice. Notice how you are feeling in this moment. This is called mindfulness. Being aware of what your mind is doing. And having checked in, we can once again turn our attention, our full attention, to our breathing in and out of our nose. Very gently, very naturally. In and out. Following our full breath in and following our full breath out. In and out. Allow yourself to relax. Maybe you notice your attention has drifted. Just gently guide it back. Gently guide your attention back to following your full in-breath and out-breath to the best of your ability. Really focus on breathing in and out, and returning your focus to your breathing whenever it drifts. In and out, very gently, very naturally. As we start to plug into our breathing single-pointedly, as we begin to clear away some of the raindrops, we may notice some things about breathing itself that we hadn't really noticed before. Maybe you are noticing how the air feels cool on the tip of your nose as you breathe in, and warmer as you breathe out. Your shoulders rising and falling with each breath. Your whole body moving in sync with your breathing. You're starting to notice what breathing feels like. An experiential understanding of breathing. In and out. How wonderful. How wonderful that you are able to relax your mind even just a little bit, all on your own, with nothing other than your breath. You are a meditator. You are training your mind to relax as you breathe in and out. Very gently, very naturally. So, having cleared away some of these raindrops, we can now use our slightly more relaxed, calm, clear mind for great purpose. We can use it to investigate, to learn, to contemplate. Today, we're going to contemplate the importance of pacing ourselves. I'd like you to bring to mind a waterfall. Massive. Waterfalls are a bit chaotic. The water moves very fast. There are a high amount of energy involved in waterfalls. There's so much energy in waterfalls that sometimes the water droplets don't all make it down the waterfall. Water smashes against a rock and water droplets fly off into the sky, dissipating. If we want to ensure that all of the water droplets make it down, if that is our goal, then it is far better to be like a river. A wide, gently flowing river, much slower than a waterfall. But eventually, all of the water will get to its destination. We need to be more like a river and less like a waterfall. Now you might be thinking, I am definitely not a waterfall. I am far too slow in the things that I do. Even if we are not a waterfall, we often think we should be. We are always trying to quicken our pace. If I was a real artist, I would always write. If I wanted to learn how to ride a bike, I would do it every day. But this is not always the best method. It's far better to do things consistently in a manageable fashion. It is far better to be a river than a waterfall. All rivers are different. Some move faster than others, some move very slow. But rivers share something in common. All the water gets to where it's going eventually. What kind of river are you? What kind of pace comes natural to you? Whatever it is, that is the perfect pace. I have to accept what kind of river we are and then just flow, knowing that we will get to where we need to be. So just think about that for a little while. Think about what kind of river you are. And then be okay with that. Okay, and when you're ready, you can open up your eyes and relax. So I really like the river and waterfall analogy, because it kind of reflects what we think, right? We're like, well, I should just be like a waterfall. Like, I'll put everything into this, right? But sometimes, right, when we do that, things get a little chaotic, right? And we might shoot off this way, and then we can't finish our goal. We can't get down the river or waterfall, whatever, right? But with a river, it might move slower than a waterfall, slower than maybe we would hope, but we will get to where we need to be, right? And so we have to try to be more like a river, and we have to be okay with whatever pace is comfortable for us. We have to know in our heart that if I commit consistent effort to something, I will accomplish it, independent of how fast or slow I am going compared to other people. Does that make sense? Crystal, I have found with several groups, chorus church clubs, that if folks take on too much, it eventually causes them to quit altogether because they've burned out trying to be a waterfall. Exactly. Brilliant takeaway. I used to be a musician. I left college to join a band, right? And I loved music, right? And I got very into it. And I became almost like obsessed with like making it in the music industry, right? So much so that I kind of eventually over the years, it became very unfun to me. There was so much, I was committing everything to doing this that I kind of lost sight of the fun part of being a musician, right? And so, just like you were saying, Crystal, that can tend to happen. And so, I think when we start something new, we have to keep in mind it's okay to go slow, right? It's okay to go slow. It's okay to move at whatever pace is our pace, and we don't have to really worry about how other people are going about doing this. It became effort instead of fun. Yes, right? It became like it feels like another job, like another thing we have to do. And so when we're training in meditation, we don't want that to be the case, right? We don't want meditation to feel like a job, right? We want it to be fun and light and interesting and fascinating. And the way that you can ensure that that happens is by going at a manageable pace, your manageable pace, all right? Like I said, even if you only meditate, 30 seconds every day, you're going to see amazing results, guaranteed. Susan, this is wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Pacing's hard. Pacing is really hard because it plays into a very common concern of ours. Concern of reputation. I would probably have to, I'm going to do a lesson on this. Because really we're like, I should be going faster. Everyone else is going faster. Why am I taking so long, right? We feel like people are going to judge us, that we're not smart or good or proficient at this thing at work. Like, it's almost like a fear of getting a bad reputation from others or even from ourselves, right? We think bad of ourselves. Oh, you rewatch my videos. That's good. But that's very good. That's why I want, that's why they're up there. Because look, hearing this once is probably not going to do it, right? We have to build a familiarity with these concepts and take notes. Crystal's very good at taking notes. I'm very bad at taking notes. It's one of my major character flaws throughout my entire life is I never take notes. I always forget. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. So, any questions on meditation overall, breathing meditation, pacing ourselves, or anything else? Now's the time before we say goodbye for another week. How does one view your past videos? I will put a link in the chat, but it's just all on my YouTube channel. So every video that I do here live, I put on YouTube. That way people can rewatch them, or sometimes this is not a convenient time for everybody. So hold on, I'll go get it for you. Okay, and here you go, Mindy. Great. Enjoy. If you have enjoyed this, great. Thank you. Susan, you'll see me next week. I'll see you next week. I'm very happy to hear that. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy this, come back, because every week we talk about something new and there's a lot to explore. Zully, thanks. I appreciate you being here. When's the last time you played some music? Could be time again. I think it is. Sometimes I get the urge to, it's been a while. It's been way too long. But I should pick up the old guitar. But if you've enjoyed this, come back and, maybe bring a friend. That'd be cool. It's fun to explore new things with people that you care about. And if you want to, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. I just put the link in chat, and you'll get notified when I'm going live in case you forget to take notes like me. And it's helpful to me too. So it's a nice little symbiotic relationship there. And if you are very interested in furthering your kind of proficiency at meditation, I do one-on-one classes, which is really good. We can focus in on something that is very particular to you, right? Whether it be anxiety or depression or getting angry, we can look at all these types of things, right? So if that's interesting to you, I do offer those virtually, $25 for an hour session. And let me put my email in the chat. Why am I doing this here? email me and we can set something up. I also do things with schools and corporate stuff. So if you want to bring it into the office, basically, if you're into meditation, there are ways that we can work together to practice, right, more regularly than once a week. But if this is fine for you, then yeah, just keep coming here. Wow, let me catch up. Joseph, helping me to move forward and getting to a regular practice. Thanks. That's what it's all about. What the takeaway is: do something, like just start in a manageable way, whatever that is to you. Just be honest with yourself, right? Jason, thanks. Great analogies as always. Thanks, man. Appreciate you being here. Guitar opening. Oh, God. Okay, here we go. Enjoyed this. We'll be back next week. Mindy, thanks for being here. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It means a lot to me. I'm in an anxiety support group, and I'm going to recommend your channel at next meeting. Susan, thank you very much. That's very kind of you to do that. I appreciate that. I got into meditation for very bad anxiety, like crippling anxiety. So it's very good for that. And I appreciate that. That's very kind of you to do that. Samantha, thank you. I really thank you guys for being here. I couldn't do this without you taking time out of your day to be here. So I appreciate you doing that. And can I explain mass energy versus consistent energy before I go? Okay. So think about, I really like the race analogy. Maybe you're not a runner. I don't know. I'm not either. But we kind of all understand the like running race analogy, right? Like if you're going to run a mile, right? And you sprint in the beginning as fast as you possibly can, what's going to happen? You're going to get tired, right? You're going to get burnt out, right? And there's a chance that you aren't able to run a full mile, or you have to walk some of it, right? And if your goal is to like run the whole thing, maybe it's better to go out at a consistent pace, to run at a consistent pace, right? So you can finish, you can achieve your goal. So it's the same concept with really anything that is new. When things are new, we get excited about them. We naturally want to commit like massive amounts of time and energy into them, but sometimes that can lead to us getting tired of them. Right? We start to view these things that were once very exciting as a burden, right? Just like you were saying, Crystal. So it's generally better to commit consistent energy, whatever level of energy that is. If it's consistent, you will see consistent progress, because consistency is what builds familiarity, and familiarity is what makes things easier. Hopefully that was helpful. Next, have a good night to you too. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Hopefully that was helpful, Crystal. Take notes. All right. I've kept you long enough. Thank you again. And I hope to see you next week. All right. Have a good one.